Hello and welcome back to the latest episode of the Master Known podcast. I am your host with the most, Stephen Murphy, and I'm joined by the two degenerates, as always, Westy and Sam. How are you, lads?
Good, yeah.
Happy Tuesday. Sorry, it took me a second to realise what day it is.
Happy summer holidays.
Oh, God. Sam's a teacher for anyone listening. He's officially on holidays, even though he's been on holidays the last, 3 months,
I have not been on holidays.
You've been on holidays.
I have not. I have been working very hard, and now I just turned off the emails, and I went, see you in September.
Out of office set the 1st of September. That must be pretty sweet.
That's a good feeling, I bet.
Started raining then on Monday.
Yeah, exactly. Torrential downpours. Yeah.
Storms.
Well, that's what you get. So, but we're back for week 2 of Super Rugby Aotearoa. Again, weekends action. Weekends rugby, boys. Is it back to normal? Like, is it just as it sank in officially yet?
With the because we were saying Aotearoa, which is how it's spelled, but I was heard like two New Zealanders at the weekend pronouncing with like an L instead of the O, so like Aotearoa. But I don't know.
I think it's Aotearoa.
Aotearoa.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I'm not pronouncing it right, but I apologize. If anyone from New Zealand is listening, I sincerely apologize. But that's how I heard someone pronounce it, so I'm just going to go with that.
Yeah.
How about we just call it Super Rugby? We're all happy with that? I'm okay with that.
I'm good with it, yeah.
No one's going to get confused for a week or two as to which Super Rugby we're talking about.
Yeah, no one's going to be like, is it Aotearoa or is it the other Super Rugby?
Wait till they give the Australians will probably do an Aboriginal name as well. So we'll end up with the.
I think I saw it written somewhere. Maybe that was just like a kind of will they sort of article, but I thought I did see it written somewhere that whatever an Aboriginal language version of Australia. So.
Well, if you're listening, Australia, pick an easily pronounced Aboriginal word. How about that?
Super Rugby Oz.
If you're,
I like that.
Might get mixed up with the prison drama, though.
Yeah, we're
the very different.
The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, exactly.
But they could be going with if you're going with like native Australian tongue, it could be like fucking Super Rugby.
Yeah.
You've never heard so much cursing as you hear out of Australia.
Can we get Michael Cheika to commentate on every
That'll be a big thing if they're not allowing crowds in, because you'll be able to hear what each lad on the pitch is saying, and there'll be a lot of cursing.
Cursing could be the least of the worries over there, but we'll get cracking on. Saturday morning, Chiefs versus Blues. I think we were all up for this, weren't we?
Yeah.
I don't count it as getting up when it's like after 8 o'clock. That's just not staying in bed.
On a Saturday, that is getting up, though. It's a Saturday.
It isn't. It isn't.
You're making an effort. If you're setting an alarm, you're making an effort.
I totally agree. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, Chiefs versus Blues Saturday morning. Westy? We'll start off with you. What kind of was your overall kind of feeling about the game? Anything stand out from you in your personal and professional opinion?
Apart from the fact that the Blues are back, not really.
I didn't know. Are you just hopping on the bandwagon?
I am on that bandwagon. I took off the bandwagon last week.
Driving the bandwagon.
Oh yeah.
So before this, were you a Blues supporter?
I liked the Blues. I had nothing against them. I can't say I really supported a Super Rugby team.
This is what I'd want to say that in front of Sam.
I love an underdog as well. I don't
know how you can support a Super Rugby team.
But you were a Western Force fan. You have a Western Force jersey. That is as much fanfare as you need.
Westy has a lot of jerseys, though.
Well, I mean, so do I.
Hold on.
I have my Canes jersey that I'm wearing because they're the Super Rugby team.
I have that Western Force jersey. They've been out of the competition for 4 or 5 years now.
But they're back now, Wesley. They're back.
It's 2 separate competitions now. I never give up on them. Yeah, I mean, once Australia comes back, I'll be Western Force all the way. But
so right now, two bandwagons.
Well, we'll see if they're successful. I might jump on a different bandwagon. Beale is leaving Waratahs, so I'm not going there.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But the Blues look good, and the scary thing about the Blues is that like Barrett hasn't even had that great of a game yet.
I think it's more his influence. I mean,
100%. Yeah,
I think he grew into this game a lot more than the last one. Like I think, those smart scores that he got, like the drop goal, and then his kicking was quite good tactically, and then two penalties towards the end. I think he grew into it. He might not necessarily be like the highlight reel Barrett that we know and love, but you'll see that come at some stage. But I think, like West was saying, his influence, he's showing up he's running it, and I think that'll give them a lot of confidence, especially if they've got younger people playing as well. Like you've got younger, less experienced out half. Is it Black? Is his name?
Aotearoa Black.
Yeah,
Aotearoa Black. You know, he's got the confidence there that he knows there's another playmaker out wide. He doesn't have to be the playmaker. He doesn't have to be the boss out half. And I think that's helping them a lot. Like they look very settled. Traditionally, like in the 90s, they were a great team, but for the last however many years, they've not been overly strong. They've been a bit of the whipping boy sort of thing. Like I read a thing here earlier, like that's the first time in 25 years that they've won 5 successive away games. Like 5 successive away games that's an impressive thing to get 5 successive away games. You think once or twice in 25 years that would happen. Teams go through periods of dominance, but so that's it's nice to see them back. Like,
it was their first win in Hamilton in 9 years as well.
Yeah.
But no, as Sam was saying, like I think Barrett's influence is more seen pitch wide, especially they've got young players. They've got Aotearoa Black. They've also got Caleb Clark coming over from Sevens. Like I think he's just really galvanized their back line because their attack looks so much stronger now. Like I mean, and it did look good because I didn't watch a lot of Super Rugby before the lockdown, but it did look good from what I saw before the lockdown. But I think he's given them that air of confidence now to go forward because they've a decent squad when you look at it. Like, is it Talea as well as the wing
and the number 8 Hodgkins Satutu. I talked about this last week, and this week he was just absolutely everywhere. Like that guy, I read a tweet from someone Fijian because I think he's of Fijian descent, and they were like, All Blacks gain as Fijians lost. Like if he's going to be an All Black, he just looks unbelievable. He's 21, born in like 1998.
My issue though, my pet peeve is him and Tui Palutu, I think it is, and Ioane all have the same haircut. So like on the field, like they all have like they're big guys as well. So you're like, I thought for like when I was watching the game, I thought Ioane threw that last pass for the try. Like beautiful pass, but it wasn't. It was Satutu.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh Jesus, that was a great pass by Rieko Ioane, and I was like, oh wait, no, it wasn't. It was Satutu.
Remember the year that Satutu was born? That's how long ago this is. Like the '98 World Cup in France, and the Colombian team all showed up. Like the whole team with bleach blonde hair. The commentators were like,
"This is a nightmare." Yeah, thank God for numbers on jerseys.
Haven't a clue.
But to go back on the Barrett point as well, I think what we have to mention as well is he takes so much focus from the opposition team as well, because you constantly have to know where Barrett is on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're playing them, that's just he takes so much attention away from other lads, so it gives him space for like Aotearoa Black or some of the other great players then to actually give them freedom to do what they want rather than just being stifled. But also, I'm sure culture-wise as well, like even we've seen it before this all started, the first day of training, he comes in and breaks the record for the Bronco, the Blues record for the, stuff like that ups everyone else's performance and up everyone else's level. So he comes in like that, and, I don't know how much they're paying him. I'm sure they're paying him a lot, but I think he's worth every penny in that case. And, we still haven't seen an amazing game from him yet. So imagine what's going to happen when he has a cracker.
I think when he will light it up, I'm really glad that they haven't thrown him in at out half yet. I know he has said in the past that out half is his best position, and it's kind of been a bit of a controversial thing because a lot of people have said that actually they feel that full back is his best position. But I like that they're giving this Aotearoa Black a bit of a go. They're not just going, we paid big bucks for Beauden Barrett. He comes in, he goes out half, and he gets his own way. They're playing him at like 15, and that's doing it. But the time when I think he rips it up, I think is the first time you see him at out half. I'd say he would just absolutely go. Like he'll really want to stake his claim at that position if it does get the chance, because he's said that that's the position he wants. If he wants to be playing out half for the All Blacks, he's got to be playing there at club level as well. Like so, I'd say
he does drop into the 10 channels of sometimes. I mean, they make
they're playing. They're obviously playing a 2 playmaker, but when he gets the chance to run a team and to run a back line, get his influence on it. I think that's when you'll see the proper like I said earlier, the highlight reel Beauden Barrett. Like I love him at 15 because I love having 2 playmakers. I like teams that do that. I like teams like, say, when England do it with Farrell at 12, because you can then go either way. You can have 2 people commanding both sides of the pitch. And I think that that's something that's been underused in the past in rugby, but it's coming into it a lot more in the last
Well, the All Blacks themselves have done it with Barrett and
they've done it,
Bawanga, So, I think as well, what Ireland would have liked to have done last year if Carberry was fit, you could possibly do that with him and Sexton.
Like Jack Carty could have done it. Like, We
Yeah.
like
Who would you put fullback? I could put
who
Sexton or
had-
Carty at fullback. Well, I mean, I suppose Carty has played a
Carty
fullback.
did play one game for Connacht, didn't he, last year or this year?
Yeah.
But that was, I think,
We
due
tried that
to
with
more injuries, wasn't it?
who's it with Connor Fitz, was it?
Yeah,
And
Connor Fitz, and if Connor Fitz 10, and then you had Carty fullback. But
no, I think
sorry,
I'd
go
say
ahead.
this. I was just going to say, we were saying there about Hoskins, Sototo have been so good. I also, I think Tui Piloto as well. He
Brilliant,
has a
yeah.
couple of All Blacks caps to his name, and I think with the likes of Kieran Reid retiring this year from international rugby, I think there's a spot there for.
Yeah.
I would say Tui Piloto because he's more in the position, but maybe for Sototo as well to move into that squad in his place.
Yeah, it seems good. Do you think, Wesley, when you're watching this, are the Chiefs a bit reliant on McKenzie a bit too much? Do you think it
I
takes
think they
away from?
are. Yeah, I think. Well, see, you have to remember, like the Chiefs have the likes of Sam Cane to come back. Like he's still injured, but as he's been made All Blacks captain, he might not be reliable to be there all the time. So I think, like where all of the Chiefs' points coming from the boot of Damien McKenzie, I know it was the majority of them.
Yeah, well, the first 9 or 12 points, I think, were all McKenzie. I mean, that's not a bad thing. He has to kick penalties, but are they too reliant? Where the Blues have that sort of, they have your man Black and Barrett, and then you have these pretty decent forwards as well. The Chiefs obviously haven't looked great in the first 2 games. Are you kind of worried about them yet? Do you think that is Gatland under fire already?
I don't think so.
I think maybe the pack is a bit worried. I love Aaron Cruden. I do think he played well. I think look, it's a new coach coming in. I think you can see flashes of Wales Gatland or Wales under Gatland kind of emerging in the way they're trying to play, and I just don't think they've kind of galvanized to it just yet. And sometimes that takes a season or two. But the thing you have to worry about is like, okay, that takes a season or two. But if you're the Chiefs management and you've signed on Warren Gatland for this year and he has next year off to run the Lions and he comes back a year after, like that's at least 3 years before the system takes hold.
Yeah, well, I think that they're backing an extremely successful coach to do it. And like you've heard Ronan O'Gara talk about going down and introducing systems that didn't necessarily take in New Zealand, but because there was buy-in from the team at the time, they knew that even though it wasn't working yet, the team bought into it and it showed fruition after a while. And I think that that's what they're probably doing with Gatland. I think that there's like, they'll be looking for an entire change of mentality, an entire change of kind of ideas. If they're bringing in someone like Gatland, who has like plied his trade in Europe for this entire time and has a very distinct style that is not necessarily something that someone associates with the New Zealand rugby. Like, Wales have been far more exciting in the last couple of months than they ever were under Gatland, even though he's successful. So if that's what they're trying to introduce, and if they want to back that and they have the buy-in from the players, I think that they just understand that there's a year or two where it's not going to look pretty, but so long as they see a little improvement and the players are sticking with them, I think that's how it goes really. Like
but
I wouldn't be worried about him at all. I might be worried about their position at the moment, but like Super Rugby's all over the place anyway. There's no telling what the league's going to look like next year, so it's almost the perfect time to have a bit of fun with it.
Yeah, but the issue, the thing that worries me then is the year off. I mean, I don't know what the arrangement is for his year off. Does he get to pick who goes in instead of him? Does he leave a caretaker in charge?
Hear me out, Westy. Chiefs.
Go for it. Hot take time.
Yeah, hot take time. Chiefs lose their next game, right? Gatland sacked by the Lions. Joe Schmidt in. Who loses? Who loses?
I don't think Joe Schmidt would be a great head coach for the Lions. I think he'd be good in the setup, but I don't think you want him as a head coach.
Oh, you're just a hater, Westy. You're a hater.
With the year off, it'll entirely be down to what's in place. There's no way this has been decided to be a thing. It's a ridiculous setup for any management team. So there's no way this is decided that it's a thing without an extremely watertight plan put in place where they know who's coming into the fold, they know what's going to happen, they understand how they're going to communicate and do it. Because Gatland is leaving essentially his legacy and opportunities and career opportunities in New Zealand. People know he has eyes for the All Blacks job in the long run. He's leaving that up to someone else. So there's no way that he would agree to this system or this setup without it having been discussed and in place. So whatever way you see it, it might be very strange just with the current circumstances, with the potential kind of the disbanding and then restarting of the Super Rugby, where it might just be an Australia-New Zealand thing next year. They might just stick to this current format if they're the only people that are allowed big crowds for the next couple of years, why would they bother going to Australia to play in front of empty stadiums?
Yeah.
So that might be the only spanner in the works for him. It might have been airtight until this landed, but now they're kind of thinking, well, we don't know what the league looks like next year. We don't know if it's going to be a global season or not, or any of this sort of stuff. So they're the sort of things I'd be worried about more so than who's going to come in place of them. I'd say that's already decided.
Yeah, I use it no more about Super Rugby than I would the history of it. Are clubs fairly loyal to managers, coaches, or is it, rugby tends to be pretty loyal to their coaches. They give them their contract length, unlike, other sports like soccer. What's Super Rugby like? Would you know much about the history of that?
From a coaching point of view, I wouldn't know too much about it. I know that they have, like, in the past, there's been a lot of respect put on coaches, especially in New Zealand, where the idea has always been to kind of promote from within and to promote those coaches. So, like, there's a reason why they went after him to get him back to New Zealand.
Yeah.
That might be part and parcel with him wanting to move back to New Zealand, but the whispers were that he was going to be given the All Blacks job without having worked in New Zealand, but that was never going to happen just because of the way they have things in place there. So I'd say if they do have any sort of inkling that he might a potential future All Blacks coach, then the loyalty will stay and they'll buy into him. Like, I think New Zealand, like, the respect on coaches, the respect on rugby players, they'll buy into it, I'd say. You don't see too much kind of faffing about over there. They tend to respect what's being said. They tend to have a good attitude as well. So,
Wes, did you want to chime in
on the coaching situation?
Yeah.
No, I think from what I see in the media, they seem to be pretty loyal to coaches. Again, somebody could tell us now that somebody's had 4 coaches in the last 4 years, and I wouldn't know. But no, like, as I said, like, they knew this was coming with Gatland. Obviously, the Super Rugby Aotearoa, it's a different kettle of fish. It's not the Super Rugby League.
Yeah.
Or the league as we know it. So yeah, I mean, I think Gatland will get his time. I think it's just I always thought it was a strange setup.
I think obviously it is kind of like we wanted Gatland back in New Zealand, and it seems to be that they are kind of grooming him for that. But I'm starting it now. Hashtag Gatland out. I'm starting it. Let's get it trending. What's
the current trend that I've seen on Twitter today? It's like the presence of a Gatland indicates the presence of, like, a Gatsy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I seen a good one. Was it? Letterkenny, and then it was like, don't Letterkenny or forbid her.
Stop her, Kenny.
Stop her, Kenny. Yeah, I enjoyed that one. But my favorite moment of the game was the last kick of the game. Mackenzie's little dink.
What
was going through his head?
I got angry, and I texted you lads about it. I got angry about it. It was one of the most ill-advised things I've ever seen.
What was he trying to go? Obviously trying to go deeper with it. Did he just slice it? Did he just shank it?
I think he absolutely shanked it. Yeah, I think that. But, like, I think what was happening is they had given up in their minds, and they were trying
they
were trying to Hail Mary. But, like, why are you giving up there? Like, you've got an opportunity to get back into, like, bonus point or losing bonus point territory. Like, it was such a silly mistake, and it was such a shame because I don't think Mackenzie did anything particularly wrong in the game. I don't think he was standout either. I think he's had quiet 2 weeks. Like, I thought he was good the first week, but nothing special. Quite a bit like Bowden Barrett, but without the influence. And the same again at the weekend. I thought, like, I'm waiting for him to do the Mackenzie thing and to explode onto the scene with a big kick return. Like,
yeah, see, remember he's been out for pretty much a full calendar year as well, so he is finding his feet again.
I think, as we said, I think they're asking a bit too much of him, whereas Barrett, the pressure's eased off by having Black, by being full back a little bit. But Mackenzie, it seems to be everything has to go through him, which isn't easy. But what you think? So there's 22 penalties in total in this game. Like the first 2 games, obviously last week we obviously talked a lot about penalties. Did you feel it was as bad this week? Was it the same?
It was roughly the same. So there's 22 in this and 26 in the other one. So, like, what did we have? That's probably actually down from the last
little bit less. Yeah, there was like near 28, 30, I think was the last week.
I know we're going to get onto it now, but in terms of penalties, the Crusaders penalties were annoying me just watching that game because it looked like almost tactical penalties. It was stifling any momentum at all for the game. They had the upper hand, especially, like, they were getting away with murder for a while. There should have been a yellow much earlier than it was. But in the Blues game, I don't think they took away from the game as much. I think they were less noticeable than last week anyway. Probably still a few infringements around the breakdown, but that'll come with a bit of training as well. New Zealanders are getting used to being police at the breakdown for the first time in a while.
Richie McCaw is
Richie
delighted.
McCaw, glad I'm on here.
Yeah. Westy, what about you when you're watching it? Is it still? Are you still noticing it as much as the first week, or?
Funny enough, I think I don't know the exact timings of the penalties, but I found like the first maybe 15 minutes or 20 minutes flowed really well. I don't think there was many penalties. And I think there was quite a hairy patch in the middle where penalties. I mean, I just say like, I think Dave McKenzie did score. Was it 12? Was it 12-22, 12-24? Was it the final score?
I think so. Yeah, 24-12. Yeah.
I think it was all from the boot of McKenzie that the Chiefs were in the game. Obviously, what was it like? It's a lot of penalties, but I mean, I don't mind it too much. It'll probably get more frustrating. I think it was a little bit more evident in the Crusaders game.
Yeah.
But I just think I think one thing that I noticed was, and again, sorry, I can't remember exactly what the scenario was, but the refs seem to be a little bit less likely to give the advantage. Do you know?
Yeah.
So somebody comes in over the ball. I've seen it one or two times. I saw it. Comes in over the ball. He says, "Hands in a ruck, advantage," and like the player lets go and goes away, and he still has hands out and blows for the penalty. And it's like you only gave them 2 seconds to use it there. Like I'm all for giving the advantage. I'm all for having the penalty, but give them their opportunity to play the ball at least.
Do you think it's because, though, that they're so focused now on calling the penalty and refereeing the breakdown that they're like, oh, that's penalty.
I think they're trying to highlight the infringement.
Yeah, and they're nearly forgetting the part of where, like, okay, let's let it flow. I think the referees will get better at that as well, just as they get more used to the actual, but 22 penalties is, plenty of rugby games have had 22 penalties. I wouldn't be worried about that number. If it was still up around the 30 every game, then I'd be like, okay, what's going on here? But 22 is, it's probably a bit high, but, we've definitely seen games with 22 penalties before.
Yeah,
it's probably not a high amount of penalties, but I just love to see like the breakdown of what they were for, because I'd say there's a higher percentage of breakdown penalties compared to normal. Like Westy was saying, they're so whistle happy with penalties. Like it was like one person over the ball, like the second tackler not given time to release and coming in over the ball straight away whistle. It wasn't even like if the ball was coming back, there was no advantage. And then conversely, I was actually in the middle of texting it to the WhatsApp during the game. I got distracted. There was 2 or 3 advantages that were given that went for phases upon phases. And I just don't know. Like, I just can never tell, like, when advantage, like, what is advantage? Like, because they were getting momentum and gain line, and it went from a kickable penalty in the middle to almost in the corner, and they brought it back after. It was probably about 5 or 6 phases of go forward ball. So,
well, yeah, one example of that I saw was advantage was given, and they did a kick over the top. And I can't remember if it was the Blues or Chiefs. They regathered the ball, so they got the kick over the top.
Yeah.
And then a penalty was given, they give away a penalty on the ground, and then the advantage was brought back. Like, the advantage has been given. You gained an advantage from this by the kick over the top. Surely that's the definition of an advantage. No? Am I,
That's my understanding.
I think it was from a scrum, wasn't it? It was a scrum penalty.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I remember the play.
But it was a bit like, even the commentators, like, that's a long advantage to give. But again, I'm sure that differs as well with referee to referee. But the Chiefs, again, I from the signs of it, we're not too worried about the Chiefs, as in they're definitely in a transitioning period with Gatland, and it'll take time. But as you say, unfortunately, next year he's gone for a year.
About putting it in context as well, like last week they lost by a last-minute drop goal.
Yeah.
The Highlanders. I mean, you can't be too worried about that. They're kind of the 2 tries in the last 15 minutes in this game make the score look a little bit worse than it was.
Yeah.
But the Blues.
So I'm not too worried about them, but I think like who do they have next? Are they Crusaders next, or?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so that's
because they are Hurricanes
away to Crusaders. You're really going to worry about that one now.
That's
going to be tough.
That's good. Well, I don't know if you've seen on Twitter, Westy, but hashtag Gatland out is trending. So maybe
since you said it, is it?
Since I said it,
I didn't realize you were using Twitter Live or whatever.
We're going live out now on all radio stations. But we've on to now Sunday's game. So I Hurricanes versus Crusaders. I definitely wasn't up for this game because I was hungover from the night before. But I did catch second half and then obviously highlights. But Sam, as the resident Hurricanes fan here, what went wrong?
Oh, what went right? I think, like, honestly, it was so disjointed from a Hurricanes point of view. They looked in the game for a lot of it. Like, I think that they were 25-25 with 10 minutes to go. but that was constantly just getting penalties the Crusaders were giving away. Like Crusaders infringements were ridiculous. Allowed Hurricanes to stay in it. It was 5 tries to 1 or 4 tries. Yeah, 5 tries to 1 for Crusaders. It was just all penalties for Hurricanes. 5 penalties from Garden Bishop. And a conversion as well. Like, so it got away from them without ever getting away from them. They were beaten even though the scoreline was quite close. And then it was absolutely killed me watching it. Like, you know, I get too into things. Like, I was a kind of a fair weather Hurricane supporter until there was no other rugby on TV, and now I'm like die hard. I was getting so salty. Like, they were because I was watching it. I didn't watch it at 4. I watched it at 10. But they got a penalty, so they went to the corner, and then the next play they got the same penalty, and Crusaders finally got a yellow card. So instead of going to the corner again and trying to take advantage and getting right back into it, they went for the penalty in the first minute, and that took probably about a minute. So that was a minute gone of your 10 minutes in the sin bin. Then there was another penalty that Crusaders took about 90 seconds for, so that's you're into it. And then there's another penalty. There was like a penalty that took another minute. So half the thing was gone before they could get going at all. They took no advantage of having that 10 minutes man advantage at all. And then they just kind of let Crusaders away with it towards the end. There was that offload was horrendous. He was in his own 5. He tried something smart, and it was one of the least thought out thing. He tried something smart to keep it alive, and it backfired so badly.
I have that. I've listed as like the turning point because they had done so well to get back into the game to level it up, and he does really well as Proctor. He comes on, he does really well because he covers the little grubber through.
Yeah.
And instead of just like going for a lineup, which by the way, both teams were awful with the lineup.
Both teams were horrendous.
It was very stealable, and I don't know. I think he got credit to Mitchell Drummond because he does then an amazing offload to get it back into Mwanga to score the try. But I don't know. It was just I don't know if he just lost the head for a few seconds and threw it back into play.
I think he was an act of desperation. I don't think he kind of in his mind, because they were being beaten, even though the score was where it was at. They were actually they were being mentally beaten.
25-25 at the time.
Yeah, it was a draw at the time, but I think in their mind it was like they were the desperate team trying to grab something, snatch and grab, as opposed to the team in control that just believed in themselves. I think that's where it came from. It was just an act of desperation, trying to keep it alive. But like you said, they should have backed their line out, because both lineouts were shite. Like Coles was throwing horrendously. Like they didn't go to hand about 4 or 5 times.
2 all black hookers. Like couldn't hit a
bad.
barn door.
So bad.
One of the Crusaders lineouts, it looked like stuff that we used to play, Sam. As in like the call was nearly wrong. As in like Taylor would have thrown the ball and no one would have been lifted. Yeah, Westy, as a lock in your own personal time, what do you think? What's going wrong?
What time's it over yet? This is my time.
You're retired. You're in the pastures of retirement.
You're coming to thirds rugby next year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like what goes wrong in lineups like that? Like in your experience, what causes that kind of difficulties?
Well, obviously, the dizzying heights of Connacht 1B are the exact same as New Zealand Super Rugby.
Well,
the first point
did you see the lineouts on Sunday? It wasn't far off.
It's primarily communication. I mean, that's what makes a lineout work. I think being familiar with the guys that you're working with. So, and again, I thought this would all be an advantage to Crusaders. I thought having the extra week to get used to the rule changes and all that would mean all this would flow perfectly. But no, I think lack of time playing together means that these calls aren't registering right who's going for what. They seem to go over the end of the line out a lot.
Yeah, there was bad throws. There was some very bad throws.
Yeah, it didn't look planned because nobody was there to take it. I don't know if someone was meant to run on or what the plan was, but it wasn't happening.
Definitely just not going to hand. Like there was really, really poor throws. Coles in particular, like just from watching it from a Hurricanes point of view, there was times when they were, coming into it a little bit and chance to get settled and taking a penalty down into the 22 twice or 3 times, losing or not going to hand with their own line out in an attacking position. And it's criminal. Like you're not going to win games if you're not taking those. Like that should be your bread and butter. Most of the time those go uncontested because the team defending want to set up a maul and try and stop you. Like, so they were really like some horrendous mistakes that were just giving the ball away and giving opportunity to clear it and to free your lines to Crusaders.
It's funny, you talk about Hurricanes kind of at the end kind of not using during the yellow card, not using their advantage well. I think I don't know if I texted you guys. I texted to somebody. The early penalties Crusaders were, doing like both their tries kind of came from trying something. The second try was from a grubber through.
Yeah.
Hurricanes weren't really doing that. They were kind of trying to take the points or trying to kick for touch as opposed to using the advantage well. Now, kind of on the other side of that coin, I thought like that was the one good thing about the Crusaders attack. I thought for the majority of that game, Crusaders attack were very flat, very uncreative. It was only like when they had the ball in hand, we're going through phase play, they looked like they had no idea what to do. It was only maybe through a flare of Richie Mo'unga booting it through, or Severin Reese, fantastic ball in hand, creating something out of nothing. But I did think you could definitely see the sluggishness there in the Crusaders, and Hurricanes just really weren't able to exploit it.
Definitely. Like I was literally about to say that when you said that. As Mo'unga, I'm so impressed with him. I think he's such a good player. I think he just took the game by the scruff of the neck once or twice. He didn't need to be all game. He didn't need to run the entire game. Like they were going through their phase play and it wasn't overly effective. It was two sloppy teams really, but there was times when he tried something and it came off. And that's when you need those big game players, when they're going to try something. Like the Mackenzie chip in the first game didn't come off, but Moanga's two grubbers through, getting into great positions, both came off. Like I thought he was brilliant. I didn't think the whole team were brilliant. I thought he was very, very good.
It was clearly a game plan by Mo'unga to do a lot of grubbers because there was a lot of them. So I don't know if it's tough for a team to be constantly running backwards to try and cover the ball. So it's effective. And the Canes just look a bit like they're just a bit disjointed. I don't know if they just know what they're doing exactly, as in the game plan, or
I don't know. It does, like you say, that it doesn't look like it's come together yet. There's definitely something wrong there. I was really unimpressed with Ardie Savea, and I love him as a player. I really wanted to see him come on and run hard, and he didn't at all. Like there was once or twice where he ran less than 100% at out halves and centers and got stopped and gave Sealy offloads that he shouldn't have done. Like I wanted to see him really give it a go. So I was disappointed with that. But yeah, I haven't seen much from the Hurricanes now to be overly enthusiastic with. But I'm such a ridiculous fair. Like I'm the most positive supporter of teams. Like I'm the guy that reckons Connacht are going to beat Leinster when we have two 18-year-old second rows on the pitch. So I got to stick with it and say there's a comeback couple of weeks coming. Hurricanes at the bye week and go back to camp, sort it all out, and come back out now, flares, all guns blazing.
Best thing is, Sam, you can't lose next week. So
yeah, that's fair.
Keep that as positivity. But yeah. There seems to be a massive, increase in drop goals over the last couple of games.
It's all Ronan McGarrett.
Is it? Yeah.
He installed it in there before he left, and now they're
it's all this. It's the golden point.
Yeah.
They've all been training golden points because any score is a win, an automatic win. So they've all been training it for the last few weeks. Now they go, "Fuck this!" Just sticking it over.
It's like, oh, look at this new trick I can do, and then we continue to do it. 27 penalties in this one. But as you said, I think the Crusaders kind of dominated that, but possibly tactical, possibly not. But I want to highlight the best part of the game. I thought was David Havili's line for that last try.
That was sick.
Beautiful, wasn't it? Also, credit to Drummond. Like it must be tough when you look up as a scrum half to identify him because he sees obviously a couple of players there, but he picked them out straight away and within untouched. Beautiful. It was a moment.
I think the nature of the two tries, because it was 25-25, I think 12 minutes to go when Mo'unga got the first one. I think when Havili had that line, you kind of see the Canes players, they don't even react fast enough to him.
No.
I think they kind of had it in their mind that after conceding that other silly try, it was kind of done at that stage.
Yeah, exactly. Also, shout out to Ollie. Is it Jaeger? How are we pronouncing it?
Oliver Jaeger.
Comes on 65th minute. So
nice name, that one, isn't it?
Jaeger. I think his dad is Dutch. His dad was on the Dutch Olympic swimming team or something like that.
Water polo or something. Yeah, he's
Ollie,
water polo. Might have been water polo.
Great mustache. Yeah, he's only 24.
He's about 6'5" or 6'6". Like he's a big prop. Like
massive. I've also DM'd him to come on the podcast. So Ollie, if you have listening to this, check out your DMs because you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, Smurf sliding into your DMs there.
Oh yeah, just compliments. You look great on Sunday. Yeah, stuff like that.
How'd you get that mustache so thick?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What'd you see?
Testosterone? Is that what I'm doing wrong?
Or is topsoil? It could be topsoil. We don't know. Canes in trouble. Crusaders though, 5 tries, and as you said, Westy, they weren't exactly firing on all cylinders. So in a few weeks' time, it's pretty scary what these lads could be actually like.
Look, it's a funny one to call, right? Because you have to, like, the conditions in the first game were horrible, right? So that could have gone against the Chiefs' game plan, although it didn't seem like that was the game plan. The conditions in this game were obviously a lot more suited to Super Rugby. That they play a faster offloading brand of rugby than we'd be used to in the Northern Hemisphere. But yeah, I think Crusaders, their attack left a lot to be desired, but they found ways through. I think if you're playing Crusaders, you're terrified.
Yeah.
I think they've won something like 9 Super Rugby titles in the last 20 years or something.
Yeah, the last 3 in a row anyway.
3 in a row, yeah.
They're unstoppable really in terms of Super Rugby. They're so well coached.
Yeah.
There's a reason why their coaches are constantly being touted for the next All Blacks job and stuff. But Sevu Reece as well, like the try at the very start, a minute in, I had the tea on or the coffee on, and I turned on the TV, went back to pour it in, came back. It was a try scored.
I thought he'd fecked it up too by putting it inside.
Yeah, but no, it was.
Yeah, he stopped himself.
Such good support run. It was
What could have been?
Could have been Connacht. He's the quickest player in Super Rugby history to reach 20 tries. That could have been Pro 14. That could have been quickest player in sports ground history to reach 20 tries.
What a bullet dodge by Sevu Reece. Poor him in New Zealand playing Super Rugby for Rugby.
All Blacks and everything.
All Blacks going on.
Went to a World Cup.
Yeah. What about the Reece Lightning nickname? That's pretty good.
That's good.
I see that going around Twitter, Reece Lightning. But so are we thinking, I know it's still very early days, but Crusaders still probably favourites, but do we think the Blues can really put it up to them?
Ooh, I don't know. I think it'd be interesting. I don't know where they play first. I don't know. Do the Blues go to Crusaders first? Yeah, so the Blues are away to them. I think it's exciting to see where Blues will go. We still haven't seen Dan Carter yet. I mean, I'm big on that one.
That won't be against Crusaders, I doubt, though.
I think if Crusaders show any kind of form in the next few weeks,
as I was going through Stats Center today just to look up a few things, they're tied for most tries already, and they've only played one game.
Yeah,
5 on Sunday. So
as I said, that performance of the weekend left a lot to be desired. I was giving Sam a bit of stick last week about the fact that the Canes didn't have a chance. There was a point there, I think at about 65 minutes, I was like, oh shit, if Hurricanes win this, I'll never live it down.
That's why your man Proctor's offload was so bad. They were back in it.
I know, I was fuming. I was watching it, I was like, what was that offload about? It was so ill thought out. But I think, no, with Crusaders, they were going through the motions, and they're the type of team that they're just so stacked and so talented and so well coached that even if it's not going right, there's a moment there, two little things, and they pounced on 3 little things, the first try and then second to last try and the last try. They just pounce on these opportunities and moments and just see off games, and that's why they're so successful. That's why they'll be playing Blues, and I think it's going to be hard to tell, but I could see Blues playing at 100% and and Crusaders playing at 90% and Blues getting a win. But if Crusaders are playing at 100%, I can't see anyone stopping them. They just look like the same way Leinster have looked in the league and Europe this year. They just look like they just can't be stopped. Teams are beaten before they go out on the pitch with them, I'd say. And if people are watching that game from last week going, feck, we had a week extra and they came back. They were a bit rusty, but they still they were dominating the game. Regardless of the scoreline, it was 25-25, but it didn't deserve to be 25-25 with 10 minutes to go. Hurricanes were being gifted penalties left, right and centre constantly.
Yeah, I think if you want to play the Crusaders, you're going to want to play them the next week or two, just for the fact that they're only going to get stronger as the competition goes on. So
we're at the fixtures here, and I think Blues have the week off before they play them, so that could really go in their favour.
But they're playing away from home that game though. Blues. Yeah. Okay. So still though, that's going to be a really exciting game. I think so the Blues have 2 wins. They're the only team with 2 wins, haven't they, at the moment? Yeah, Canes have 0, Chiefs have 0, Highlanders have the week off, and Crusaders have 1. So,
I think the potential is there for the Blues to build to a big result.
Yeah.
But I think if Crusaders I think Crusaders are pretty much already there. They just have to tap into it, if you get me.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I get you. But yeah, look, it's going to be exciting all the same. So next week we have Crusaders Crusaders versus Chiefs. So I think we're all pretty agreed there. Crusaders probably going to walk that one.
Could be a Gatlin masterclass though.
Could be.
Don't rule out
This
a
could be
Gatlin
it. This could be the
masterclass.
shock.
Maybe
Yeah.
he might see it trending on Twitter and get motivated. You know what I mean?
I wonder,
He might
like,
see
is
that.
there I wonder, is there any sort of records the Gatlin can break for like most pick and goes from a pack, like in
Yeah.
history, like
Or shock signing a Sam Warburton signs for the signs.
Isn't Hadley Parks going to Japan? Maybe he stops off on the way.
Detour. yeah, exactly. So and another game is Blues Highlanders, if I'm not mistaken. That'd be good actually, because I like the Highlanders actually. That first game, I'm big.
I thought they looked good.
Yeah,
I thought
big
they looked good
Aaron
against
fan,
Chiefs.
so that'll be interesting. Wes, the fixtures are there in front of you. Is that home or away for the Highlanders?
Give me one second. I had it open here in front of me.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, so it's the home for the Blues and home for the Crusaders.
Oh, so Chiefs are in serious trouble.
Yeah,
On the road.
Okay,
I could see of like all of the teams this weekend except for Crusaders having to make a few more changes than they did last week. Like there's going to be some tired bodies 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah,
You played 2 games in a row in successive weeks, having been off for months. So like, there's going to be fatigue and potential injuries coming in. Like you can't see the same 15s going out. So there might be a bit of chance for a bit of shake up,
Do we see Carter this weekend?
I'd love to see Carter this weekend, but I don't know, is Carter probably, in terms of having Barrett and Aotearoa Black playing as well as he is at the moment, like I'd say Carter's more in there for the experience and coaching side of things.
Put him on a bench. I want 10 minutes. Give me 10 minutes at DC.
And then when he warms up, get a camera on him. That's all we want.
Yeah, but actually, do you know what? If you notice the New Zealand media, they've been doing individual player cams, so you can do screen and screen. Like they did it with Bowden Barrett. You should see Bowett and Aotearoa Black were literally in sync as they were walking, same foot, same pace. I think they did it with Aaron Cruden at the weekend. It's
just wanted
brilliant to see.
A Cruden thing. Someone tweeted, I can't remember during the week, but they said Cruden was the best 10 in the world.
Oh, that's a ridiculously big statement.
It's a ridiculously wrong statement. But
I like him.
Not even the best 10 in New Zealand.
Yeah. Well, see, someone said that about Barrett, and who was the other one that they said? I can't remember. And then the response was
Richie Moanga, Aotearoa Black, Dan Carter.
No, I can't remember what it was, but Barrett, they were saying like, well, why is Barrett playing 15 then? I was like, oh, you got me. That's not a valid argument. Like, he's still a better 10, but yeah, Cruden is good, but he's not the best 10 in the world. But
there's some amount of players to pick from. Like they're current like 6th and 7th choice out half that might get 4 caps for the All Blacks in their career would be starting most places in Europe. Like it's they're just a conveyor belt of talent. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. That's good. We'll wrap it up there. As you said, short and sweet, and we look forward to again next week for the review of those 2 games. See how bad the Chiefs got on. Unfortunately, # Gatlin out. Look, thanks for joining me, lads. As always, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Twitter is @none_podcast. Instagram's Mastodon Podcast, and so is Facebook. Also subscribe on YouTube. I think we have 12 subscribers now. I know you 2 actually subscribe. That's how good of mates these are. After last week, 2 of the boys subscribed, so we're up to 12 subscribers now. So Sam did say I get his haircut once after 10. So this Monday, Monday
the 29th at 10 a.m. So
next week you will see a freshly shaved Sam.
Live tweet that shit, Sam.
Now the girlfriend will kill me because I've been threatening it. But with full mullet.
Go pure good you, man. Go pure
full good you.
Full good you, man. Never go full good you.
He looks like Michael Cera with a mullet, like.
Yeah, we didn't even mention him. He was playing. We forgot about David. Yeah, he is. He's just good, isn't he? He's just kind of everywhere he needs to be, always in the right spot. But
just has the best rugby hair. Like you love a good hick rugby player. Like
I seen someone made they were saying, oh, since the lockdown, some of these Kiwi rugby players have terrible haircuts. Before the lockdown, some Kiwi rugby players had awful haircuts.
Before the lockdown, yeah, but since the lockdown, there's been some bad. Definitely, the roommate with a Clippers after a few cans have done some damage.
Yeah, exactly. That's good, lads. Look, cheers. Thanks for joining me. I will see you next week.
See you later.